Hi everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be talking about Squid Game Season 2 and some of my disappointing takes with the show and where it goes, yada yada. 2 fair warnings actually. I don't feel too good. I don't know if it's COVID or if I'm just sick. I'm not sure, but if I sound weird or if I have a coughing fit, that's exactly why it is. And the reason I say that as well is because these videos aren't going to be as edited as they typically are, mostly because YouTube is having a big issue with fair use recently. It seems like a bunch of my older videos, once they hit about like a year old, they all seem to get copyrighted through fair use issues, despite me editing, providing a review, trying to use less audio from the sources and such. But yeah, we're gonna kind of, do things a little bit differently in this video, not really cut around, it's gonna be very straightforward. So let's just go ahead and jump into season 2 of Squid Games. I was actually never anticipating a second season of this to come out. I thought that where season 1 ended, the message was pretty, cut and dry. The elite capitalist society taking advantage of the underpaid employees or the people who are having issues economically with either finances, or maybe they're doing it because a parent or sibling or family member or just anyone might be going under some hospital bills and they're trying to take care of them. It's money inequality and it's basically human torture, and it's very dystopian. Whereas season 1 kind of leaned for me I felt like more so tension. I felt a lot of tension with the show in terms of the games, the kills, what was coming up, the thrills. Whereas like a lot of it also was, I felt kind of ill watching it, just seeing so many 400 plus people die throughout the games. You don't see all the deaths. You guys know what I mean. You just kind of feel disgusted by it. You feel like this repulsion that like, I don't know how I can finish watching this, but like I also want to talk about this with my friends who are also watching the show, so I'm trying to keep up with it. It's this big phenomenon, so it's like I have to watch it, even though I may not be the biggest fan. Technicality wise, it's a great show, but it's just not really for me. Going back into season 2, I feel like it kind of leans more into that ill-suited feeling, that repulsion that I was mentioning, more so than the tension. In season 2, a lot of the games that they were playing, it was back to back to back. Oh, at the final second, they cross the finish line, or at the final second, they make it through the door. It's like the final second. It's like, okay, I get it. You guys don't know how to write tension anymore because you keep relying on the final few seconds. And I understand, yes, that's a great tension tactic. Mr. Beast uses it in quite a lot of his YouTube videos. It's overused, and it really does feel like an added bonus to season 1 rather than a continuation of the story from season 1. Oh wait, there's more. In the words of Billy Mays. I thought the games were more so gonna be like less of a focus and more of an emphasis on the overall story surrounding the games, and it kind of did have that in the first 2.5 episodes, and then full on the games just kind of took over. Around episode 4 and 5, I just kind of fell off. It's devastating, it's gruesome, and the story it tells, the messages, the themes, all of that, it's really dark, it's really scary. Again, it's really dystopian and just really ugly, and at the same time, this is a TV show, and as somebody who works in video production, as somebody who would love to make a movie one day, like I feel like someone who watches movies a lot, I can typically tell the difference between real life and fake stuff, like on TV, whatever, but I still get that feeling of just like watching Saw as like a child when you probably shouldn't be watching Saw, that kind of ill like feeling. And so I just really hated that they relied on that so much throughout season 2. I thought that they were gonna expand on their earlier messages from season 1 with characters as well. They never really seemed to have been expanded upon. It feels like the main character, what was his number, 465 or 450, I don't know, 456, because I think the total amount is 45.6 billion. He just really seemed to be a very stagnant character, and everyone else around him seemed to be ripoffs or copies of a copy-paste situation from characters back in season 1, such as the guy who had the kid on the way. He was nice to the main character's friend, and then he got betrayed. That guy, he was also in this show as well, or season 2 as well, just in the form of a different character. And just, the bad guys, their tactics, they all just kind of went back and forth with each other rather than expanding, and I felt like there was like a lot of lost tension there. Characters had like moments of bam, bam, bam. Characters had a beat to them. For example, the police officer, instead of bam, 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 his whole story arc in season 1 was bam, and you're waiting for the other two beats, the other two notes, whatever, and they just don't happen because the show ends on a cliffhanger. And even then, it doesn't feel like that's the right word. It just feels like you're not hanging off of a cliff. It feels like you're in a free fall. That's how the story of season 2 ends. I wasn't quite really a fan of that. It felt tonally awkward, and it disrupted my viewing experience watching the show. Technicality wise, it was okay. It was fun. Lots of weird camera issues. I noticed lots of warping with like the lens or the camera, or maybe it was some kind of warp within maybe trying to stabilize the footage. It just kind of looked off. The grading of the footage also looked very mute, whereas the first season looked a lot more colorful, and you really do have to look at it side by side to even really notice this kind of thing. But just as, you know, someone who does a lot of color grading, it's something that really stood out to me, and it felt like I was watching Marvel's Civil War again, where it just felt very flat, very like the color grading was very boring, and it missed that childlike charm that season 1 was kind of representing with, again, the tones, the themes, and all that. But maybe that's just an idea of the main character kind of losing that, because the main character, he is completely different. Song Ji-hoon, is that how you say his name? I'm probably gonna butcher his name. Seeing his transition from season 1 to season 2, yes, there's a big change there, but throughout the season of season 2, he just remains the same. And so I was just kind of waiting for that with, honestly, any character. And there were a few of them that actually do have that. There is a character in the show who is trans, and you don't really expect a lot out of them at first. They feel like very much like a B character, a background character, until they really start to make their presence like it's felt. And honestly, I'm kind of worried for their character after the free fall that is the ending of season 2, and I do want to see where their story ends up going. Just the journey that they went on. I was very, very floored by it. Again, probably my favorite character, aside from the frontman. I think those two kind of like coexist together on the same platform in terms of like how I view the characters, because the frontman, every decision that he made, it was always a decision that I could never really predict, whereas everything else about the show was so predictable. I actually thought, oh my gosh, he had a really good scene where he was doing the tabletop thing, and he was just messing it up, and I'm like, is he messing it up on purpose, or does he just legitimately not know if he can do this task? And so having the show make me ask those kinds of questions while watching it, I felt very secure. It was a really fun journey with those two characters that I just mentioned. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I enjoyed about season 2 were those two characters. The police officer, again, from the first season, I don't know how he's still alive. I don't know where his character's going, but it feels really boring. Every time he came up on screen, I'm just like, can we just go back to Song and just see what their group is up to? And even then, I was also like, can we actually leave the games now? Because these characters are boring me, because we've already seen these characters back in season 1. So it was like very much like, okay, we're back here now, but now I'm getting bored. Let's go back here. And like, just both storylines couldn't really keep my interest unless those two characters I mentioned were there. Now, there were some dynamics, the mom and the son in the show. I thought they were pretty interesting. Again, kind of repeats of some of the other characters from season 1, and we see similar dynamics within season 2 itself, whether it's the relationship issues with the pregnant girl or the friendships between the main character and his friend. Just a lot of the, the goody two-shoe characters. The bad guys in the show, I don't quite fully understand. If they have a mental deficiency, I feel like that's something that really, really, really needs to be pressed upon and made known, because they just seem so goofy to me, and it seems so out of place. But again, in this world of Squid Games and knowing the behind the scenes of who is running the operations, maybe it's not that goofy. Maybe it's actually, I don't know, maybe that's just the world they're living in. Maybe it's not an exact replica of the Earth that we live on. Probably not. But I mean, it's obviously not, those probably don't happen, right? But no, seriously, I really just felt like a lot of the tension, a lot of the character decisions, especially from the ones who voted to continue the games, they didn't really make a lot of sense, and they didn't align with a lot of their character values, and they were more so written for shock value more so than really anything else. And so again, kind of takes me out of the show and makes me have to rely on those two characters. And when you're relying on just two characters, not theme, not motive, not plot, not cinematography, not even color grading, whatever, let's go there, let's go that deep to, have you enjoy the show. It really does feel like they're carrying the show on their backs, and it's quite disappointing that season 2 kind of ended up the way it did. And I do feel like my take is going to be a questionable one, because it seems like a lot of the online discussions is that people are loving season 2 and that they're really, really enjoying it, whereas I just did not have that experience. And I want to have that experience, don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that people are loving this, and I want to hear what you guys think about it. If you guys loved the show, if you guys hated it, and I want like in-depth conversations. I want to know why people love this. I want to know why people don't like it, or maybe they're gray. I feel like I'm kind of in the gray zone, leaning to like majority-wise disliking it. But yeah, those are just kind of some of my overall thoughts on season 2 of Squid Games. Yeah, I don't know, kind of disappointed, but it is what it is, and it took a while to get this out. I think we're getting another season pretty soon. Don't know if that's actually factual, so take that lightly, but otherwise, yeah, again, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. We do live streams and whatnot, but otherwise, yeah, my name's Austin, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.